People, listen carefully. There's a group in Connecticut that is being threatened quite seriously, and there are multiple judges involved. And if you wouldn't mind watching this video, it's called Conspiracy of Silence, the Franklin Cover-Up. Google the Franklin Cover-Up. This is the similar type of next level shit going on in Connecticut.
I think they were tampered with. It was a scare tactic because it was so obvious that they were being tampered with.
Gary got his, there was one piece of evidence I know he got that he even said he got one step ahead of him this time. He told us about this book, and it was like addresses, telephone numbers, names. He said if they knew he had it, they'd kill him.
On July the 11th, 1990, Gary Caradori and his 8-year-old son AJ were flying home from Chicago in his light aircraft. They had watched the All-Star baseball game, and Caradori had been pursuing new leads.
Investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board are in Harold Cameron's cornfield, trying to determine what caused this private plane to crash, killing its 2 occupants.
The bodies of Gary...
What I'm saying, folks, is that plaintiffs in the 5G lawsuit in Connecticut are being threatened at gunpoint. I've received 189 threats. Andrew Pritchard's receiving death threats. Why? Because they stole his house for zero consideration, a $3.5 million home with no mortgage. Heather Lindsay was raped by Dr. Ahuja, and his brother is threatening her at gunpoint with an unregistered firearm in the state of Connecticut and in an unregistered car. So that happened on 5/30. It is now 6:25, no arrest. Dr. Ahuja, whose brother is threatening Heather in CV 22-01065 in federal court with Judge Meyer, which we named Murphy, Blumenthal, Schumer, and 40 other defendants guilty of what we think is bribery, lies. They took OxyContin bribes from Purdue Pharma, and Tong never wanted to criminally prosecute them, or he claims he asked the Stanford State's attorney to criminally prosecute, and now Tamacchio's making up lies. They falsely arrested Sam Magliore 11 times. He appeared in court. The judge said he didn't appear in court. Well, he did appear in court. I was there. So why did the marshals work him over in the parking lot? Why did Tamacchio claim and forfeit the bond that Sam gave? I'm making videos documenting this stuff, and I've been talking to people who are on board with, drawing a line in the sand, folks. In Connecticut, the head of the snake, who rigged the Biden presidency, stole votes from Trump. It's all part of the case. It's considered conspiracy theory, but it's not our conspiracy theory. It's theirs. They're the conspiracy people. So if you wouldn't mind watching that and investigating that murder, and if you compare it to what's going on in Connecticut, why is Judge Meyer denying protective orders? Why is Judge Kremrich denying a protective order to Chris Kelly? Why is Heather Lindsay caught in the middle of this when in fact the police have offered her a bribe in the past that she did not accept, so they stole her house? The question is, how many judges have been bought? I have already seen enough evidence to know that Judge White was bought. I was falsely arrested. Everyone is falsely arrested in this case, even Phil Marie. What was he arrested for? What was he strip searched for? He was biometrically chipped by Yale. He's a defendant. He's a plaintiff, in the 5G lawsuit. And the judge refused to remove the biometric chips in a motion. Phil is terrified. I don't blame him. So there are people coming forward, and there's thousands and thousands of people complaining of MK Ultra style tactics of the Department of Homeland Security, which my U.S. Senator is in charge of as Senate Subcommittee Chair. And if you look at all his statements about Iran, about Burisma, about Ukraine, we are headed in a direction that is compelling action by our military. First of all, I'm not a domestic terrorist. No, I'm not. I had 50 million stolen by attorneys at Kelly, Dry & Warren, where Judge Adams is a partner. And why would attorneys cash my stolen checks and then claim to be my attorney when I've never spoken to them? And why would Chris Parent, working for Judge Adams, take over my brokerage firm and steal 1 million shares of stock? Well, some of those stocks have performed quite well. Regeneron went from 20 to 750. Paladin Labs went from 0 to 150. We had a substantial block of that. Unless, of course, we don't. I was a NASDAQ member firm owner. I owned Greenwich Global LP, BD 37304. As a member, I got opportunity to buy the IPO and the warrants for the IPO of NASDAQ at 13, 14, 15. I don't even know where it is now. I stopped following it when it hit 55. So we have thousands of shares we've never received. We subpoenaed many people for many things. We've never gotten any evidence because of judges. Judges Provader, Heller, Jacobs, 25 small claims court judges, multiple federal judges, and Kremrich, Gennario, Kavanewski, Clark. So I ran for U.S. Senate, and I gave him 57,962 signatures. They were stolen and given to Hearst Media. None of the town clerks in the state of Connecticut followed the law. Not one. None of the registrars of voters in the state of Connecticut followed the law. And if you look how Danbury, Connecticut hacked Pennsylvania, okay, Naugatuck, Connecticut hacked Wisconsin, other towns in Connecticut hacked other states. We have the data. We filed it with the federal court. We filed it with the state court. We're now doing an appeal. You need to follow it. And you need to wonder why Judge Meyer, who has a signed confidentiality agreement with Richard Blumenthal, who's a defendant, is allowing plaintiffs in his lawsuit to be threatened at gunpoint from May 30th till now, June 25th. Almost an entire month, no arrest. No judge wants to touch it. Why? Because it's real, folks. Because when Heather Lindsay says that she was his nurse, she woke up, he raped her, he drugged her, and then he stole her house. How did Judge Tierney steal the house? How did Gennario seal the case? How did all these judges input into these trials, managing the cases, stealing the properties, refusing the depositions, refusing the court dates, refusing? How did Jonathan Bubar and clerk Ryan Flanagan refuse to mark motions ready? The same motion after motion after motion after motion. So we have about 70 cases we've been working on. 70 is a lot. I'm at 10 minutes. I just want to put it out there. Forever. And contact my buddy Kurt if something should happen to me. I met with my son JJ today upstairs. What's going on here is ex parte communications between judges that are affecting the outcome of an arrest of a convicted felon. One brother had a plane flying in Oxy. The other one got indicted, got caught with $18 million in the trunk of his car, bribing police officers from Connecticut to Texas, and the judge has been boasting lots of things. Even worse, the A.J. Ahuja has been boasting that he bought the judge that's boasting. Now Randolph knows, Blowy knows, Clark, Kavanewski, Kremrich, Gennario, they all know. So they put Judge McShane in charge. And guess who filed the warrant for my arrest? 2 months after I was told about it, because the state police denied having it. They said it didn't exist. They said, when we have it, I'll give it to you. Well, guess what? It's miraculous that the Senate, the Connecticut Senate Majority Leader from the past, Truglia, has a son who's a judge, Democratic Senate Majority Leader Truglia from Bridgeport. His son signed the warrant for my arrest, I believe 2 months after the arrest. So in the warrant it says I threatened multiple judges. I haven't threatened any judges. What I'm saying is this case is coming to a head. It's ugly. Why are we being threatened at gunpoint? And why do we have this case at all? First of all, I am running for U.S. Senate. Can you name another candidate who's being threatened and whose partners are being threatened at gunpoint because they're told to stop the investigation into Judge White? I don't know how much longer these judges will support Judge White. But the fact that Truglia signed the warrant 2 months later is a problem because there was no warrant. It's false arrest. The charges are false. I put in a motion for dismissal, which is not in the file. The public defender's involved. The public defender's involved. And this case is coming to trial in 20 days.